Good morning, everyone. I think it's morning for everyone. It's maybe, there we go, great. It's maybe morning time it's afternoon if you're in the Far East, it's morning time if you're here in Europe, and you should still be asleep if you're anywhere near America or Canada. But if you're with me from those countries, then even better. Good morning. And so today we are going to be exploring, because we've done these twice a day, every day for since Sunday, and we're going to be doing them twice a day, every day for every day of this month at least, while everyone's stuck in the house or whatever it is you happen to be stuck with this awful global virus. So this is my attempt at bringing remote learning and distance learning to you. We've been inundated with people asking for help via Twitter and Facebook, and I've had LinkedIn requests. We've had hundreds of emails saying, help, help, help. My kids are doing this and I need to help them, or I have this thing that I want my kids to be able to achieve while they're off, or I've battened down the hatches on homeschooling and I need this. And so I've decided to create a Minecraft series that can perhaps help with that. So let's have a look at what that looks like today. Today we're going to be talking about redstone. Redstone is one of my favourite Minecraft subjects, but I will caveat that by saying I find it quite difficult. And I say that because there's lots of teachers teachers and parents and the people that we work with come to me and say, I really want to do this redstone thing. I just don't know how. I've been doing this for 11 years and I still don't know redstone like my students do. And quite often my students will be like, no, sir, you don't do that. If you want the door to open, you don't need 10 bits of redstone. You only need 7 plus this part. Or you need to let them go this way, or you need to split the signal, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So I'd like to bring what I know about redstone to the table, because I have this way of teaching it that has been hugely successful, because it's difficult generally to teach redstone. So let me begin by showing you what we mean by redstone. We're going to make this real simple. I'm going to set up a new flat world. So just to remind everyone, you can catch up on all my videos on youtube.com/c/immersive minds. And you can check out everything we've done so far, from the basics of learning what Minecraft is, to moving around and starting your own world, all of the settings that you need to make appropriate for your classrooms. Yesterday we did biomes and mobs, and today we're doing redstone. So I'm going to click on View My Worlds and then Make a New World. And we're going to call this world Redstone Basics. I'm going to make it creative because I am going to be creatively making things. I'm going to make it peaceful because I don't need monsters yet. Later, when we're doing maybe some redstone traps or something, we can do that. This is going to be a fun one. Nobody's going to be joining me, so it doesn't matter what. I'm just going to leave that on member. I'm going to make it a flat world because, for the purposes of initially teaching you what this looks like and what redstone does, I just need a flat world. You may remember from my previous video that this is what we call a canvas world, where there's no distractions. It's like a big sheet of white paper, and or in this case green, because it will be on grass, and we just want to be able to build something with no distractions. We don't need a particular seed because it's a flat world. I don't need coordinates, although I tend to always have them switched on as good practice. Cheats, no code builder, always day because I don't want it to go nighttime. Let's head down to show classroom settings. Hi Luminous, thanks very much for joining. And Karina from Israel. Hi Karina, it's great to see you in with us. And where else have we got? And Karina's joining from Twitch, and Luminous is on Twitter, and Immersive Cat is on Twitch, and Catherine Morgan, who have commented so far, is on Facebook. So we are beaming out to 5 separate platforms, which is fantastic. Now, if we go perfect weather, because I don't need it to rain, and then let's not allow mobs. Let's switch those off, and it's very rare that you'll see me switch that off, but let's switch it off because for redstone, I don't need chickens or sheep or any mobs of that kind. Destructive items, yes, I'm going to leave that on because there's a little twist I want to show you later, and it doesn't really matter about the last 3. Let's just leave them as they are. Play. So let's go into our little redstone demo. Redstone is integral, like genuinely, if you want to make relevant meaningful lessons for your students, and you want moving parts and mechanics that make them think, and mysteries and puzzles, if you're doing mathematics, for example, or physics, Redstone's really integral to that experience for the kids, and the kids wonder about it. They want to know how you made that work. How did you get it to do this? How did you get it to do that? How, like in our World War II map, how did you get the artillery to fall from the sky, sir? Well, we used Redstone and command blocks, and we're going to be doing a whole stream on command blocks later. So first things first, let's just, first of all, you look around. I've just made this huge flat canvas world. If I fly up into the sky, you'll see that I have all the space to build in. So we're just going to build right here on our green canvas. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the E key, and I'm going to go and get what I need first. Now, Redstone is like electrical circuitry. Let me just pop in. Oh. And you have a series of different types of redstone, but the one we're talking about is just redstone. It's the third one. Hey Anne, how are you? You're in with us. And so the third one on the third one in the row. Oh, Anne, if you're on, I can show you what I got for you. Do you want to see what I got for you? Or shall I save it until I actually meet you? I can see it from here. Let me know. Although the camera's tiny, so I'm not sure it'll do it any justice, but we'll see. So third along, redstone. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this redstone and we're going to put it in the middle of our inventory. So you'll see you have 9 slots. We're going to leave 4 on this side, redstone in the middle, 4 on the other side. Now there's a reason we're going to do that, and I'll tell you why in a second. You do want to see it, Anne. Okay, pause the stream. Anne needs to see what I've got for her. I want to see. Okay, here we go. And then I'll bring it to you next time we know we're going to meet. It's a stone, but it's no ordinary stone, Anne. It has a llama painted on it. From the llama farm in Scotland. And your llama is called Laurie, the llama. Boop. And it's basically a paperweight that's hand painted in Scotland with a llama. How cool is that? And that is yours. Next time we meet. that's what I'm going to bring you. And so we put it in the middle, and here's why. When we use redstone, I tend to think of redstone because it's electrical currency, but I tend to think of redstone as the process of input, process, output. So in Minecraft, there are a series of inputs. Redstone becomes the process by which those inputs reach an output, and the output is the piston going up, or the door opening, or the trap door falling in, or something. So input, process, output. And as a result, in our little inventory there at the bottom, we have put redstone in the middle, in slot 5. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find a series of inputs. And so keep this in mind. If you're taking notes, do write them down. We are going to put, the first one is a lever, or a lever, as the Americans like to say. And so we're going to take that and we're just going to pop that into slot 1 of our inventory. Then we're going to go look for a button. A button is number 2. You can choose any of those buttons. I'm just going to choose the first one. And then the third one we're going to take is a pressure plate. So we just type in the word pressure and we'll get all these pressure plates. The only ones I want you to use are any of them up to the stone. We're just going to take the first one for good practice. So we're going to take the oak pressure plate. So those are our 3 initial inputs. There are others, but these are the 3 main ones: a lever, a button, a pressure plate. And what I'm going to ask you to do, without any outputs so far, is I'm going to get you, hi Catherine, we're going to, thanks for joining us. I am just going to put a lever down here. Just point it at the ground and put it on 1 block. And then I'm going to move to button, pressing number 2 on my inventory, and I'm going to leave a gap. So there's my gap. I'm going to go to the next block and I'm going to place a button. And then I'm going to move to pressure plate in my inventory by pressing 3. And then I'm going to move a gap and then the next one and pressure plate. So you should end up with this pattern here. So we have 3 outputs. We have a button, a lever, a button and a pressure plate, and you'll see if I just get a different block, and you don't have to do this, but if I just get white, I am going to just show you that there is a gap there. So this is what we're doing, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our inventory and we are going to look for outputs. Now again, Minecraft has a whole variety of outputs, and you can't just search for, I wish you could just search for outputs and you would get redstone outputs, but you don't. So we have to know roughly what they are, and your kids can help you with that. You know, kids generally know redstone makes this happen. And so what we're going to search for is a door. And in this case, we're going to take the iron door, not any other one, just the iron door, and we're going to put that in slot number 7. We can get rid of white concrete. You probably haven't done that, but I'm going to get rid of it. There. We're also going to look for just put in lamp, and you will get given a redstone lamp. That is in slot 8. And finally, we're going to look for a piston, and we're going to just take any of the pistons. We'll just take the ordinary first one, and we'll put that in the last slot. So as you can see, just from my inventory at the bottom of the screen, if I just look up at the sky now, you'll see that we have our 3 inputs in 1, 2, 3. Then there's a gap, then there's our process, redstone, and then there's a gap, and then we have our outputs, input, process, output. And it just helps, when I'm teaching this, it just helps us to show teachers what we mean by this process of we pull a lever, redstone, it activates redstone and a door opens. Or we press a button, it activates redstone and a lamp lights up. Or we stand on a pressure plate, it activates redstone and a piston moves. And these can be mixed and matched, which I'm going to show you shortly. But for the moment, I want you to, from this gap here, where coming from the lever, I want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 6th block, you're going to place the door. So the door is exactly, and it doesn't matter, you'll notice if I place a door that way, a door will always be placed by orientation. So don't worry about that. We're just going to place it this way for the moment. So that is 5, a gap of 5 from my lever, and I'll do that again with this white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the door. Let's do that here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll do it with the pressure plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at the end of each of those, I'm going to put the lamp and the piston. Now here's the thing about pistons. This is probably just worth a little side note. Same with doors. Pistons will always be placed facing you. So you'll see if I do that, the piston is placed. I'll have to stand on here to do this one. There we go. So pistons will always face you. And so what I want you to do is to stand here and then double tap space to fly, hover up and look directly down. There. Take a while to get used to it, but if you're looking directly down, the piston will now be facing up, and that's kind of what I want you to do. It doesn't really matter if you have it facing sideways as well, but for the purposes of a good clean demo, it's nice to have it facing up. Take your time doing that. I'm going to leave these videos on YouTube so you can revisit and go over this as many times as you like. And so, what we're now going to do is we're going to take our, I just want to get rid of that so you can still see the cleanliness of the process. So now we have a lever that leads to a door, a button that leads to a lamp, and a pressure plate that leads to a piston. These could be in any order. The button, we could have put the button over here, we could have put the pressure plate over here, the lever, whatever, doesn't matter. We've just got inputs, a gap, and outputs. Now, if I pull the lever just by right-clicking on it, nothing happens. The door doesn't do anything, nothing else happens. If I press the button by right-clicking on it, the lamp doesn't go on. And if I stand on the pressure plate, nothing happens to the piston. Note the difference. Pull the lever, press the button, and it automatically pops back up. Stand on the pressure plate. So these are different styles of inputs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run, just by right-clicking, we're going to run our redstone to the door. Then we're going to run our redstone to the lamp, and then we're going to run our redstone all the way along to the piston. So you'll see there that we now have an input, 3 inputs, a process, electrical wiring, if you like. The difference, you know, it goes from the plug socket on the wall. This is your plug socket on the wall, and it goes all the way along to the door or the lamp or whatever it is you have at the end. Yes, Immersive Cat, any input with any output. And then what we're going to do is now we're going to test our theory. So if I pull this input, you'll see that the redstone has now lit up and starts to puff compared to this one, and the door has closed. Let's just switch it off. On, off, on, off. So you see that the redstone charge is actually now creating a system within which the input works with the output. If we press the button, the light comes on and then automatically goes off. That's what buttons do. If we had a lever attached to that, we could put the light on as long as we wanted. But for the moment, and then if I stand on the pressure plate, the piston goes up. Only when I stand on the pressure plate. See? So that is the very, very basics of redstone. You must have an input, you must have a process, i.e. redstone, and you must have an output, an intended, when I pull this lever, what is going to happen. Now, what we can then do is we can take, what happens if, I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of all 3 of these, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bridge the gap here and here. So you can now see that these are all connected. We've connected them all there. And then I'm just going to connect them to any one of my inputs. So let's do the lever first. What will happen now is when I pull the lever, all 3 will happen. Because you see the redstone charge has gone up the cable, it's gone to here, but it's also gone to here, and it's also gone to here. And so, if I pull the lever, we can have 3 things happen at once. Or, if I just break the redstone and place it there, we can pull the button, and all 3 things will happen temporarily. And if I break it here and place it here, we can stand on our pressure plate to make those things happen. But what if we did that in reverse? What if we attached it to all 3, but then, breaking these ones, we only attached it to any one of these? So I'm going to keep that there, but I'm going to link it to the piston only. So now the only thing we're going to be moving is the piston with any of these. So the lever will make the piston work, the button will make the piston work, and the pressure plate will make the piston work. And the only reason that works is because no matter which one we press, the redstone is following its path and is only going to the piston. We can break it from the piston and make it the lamp. This might be labouring the point, but this is always the most successful way I've found of teaching redstone. The principles of redstone at least, not what redstone can fully do. And the pressure plate only does the lamp. And then finally, and I'll make this quick, the door. So only the lever for the door, only the button, and you'll see how that works. Another way of looking at that is if we take the redstone and we do that, and we have a door, a lamp, a piston, and then any of our inputs. So 3 outputs, 1 input. When I press the button, pull the lever, all 3 will happen. It's just a different design. That's all we've done is a very basic, very simple, different design. So I'm not going to show you all of the inputs, I'm not going to show you all of the outputs, although these are the customary ones. Have a play around with those. But for now, I'd like to show you some of the limitations of redstone before we move on to showing what it can actually do with contraptions and things. And so let's just say I have my lever here. A lot of people ask, does it matter if the lever is facing? I mean, does the redstone have to do that? Or can the redstone do that? Same with a button. Let's make the same thing here. So I'll just make that there and say, does the redstone Does it matter which side the redstone comes out at? And the same with the piston. Does it matter? Pressure plate. If I pull the lever, you'll see that both have worked. If I press the button, both works. And if I stand on the pressure plate, both works. So it doesn't matter which side it comes out from. That's really just aesthetics. But here's one of the things. Let's just say we have a lever, and I'm going to use a lever because the lever is a toggle, so it's either on or it's off. It's not temporary, and it's not depending on me standing on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a big long line of redstone, because we want to see how far this goes. And what we're going to do is, along the way, let's just count every 10. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a lamp. Let me just do this. Technically, so actually we'll do 9. Oh no, we'll do 10. We'll do 10. And I'll just do a redstone lamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll do another one. Let's do it on this side this time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is just a little experiment to see how far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we'll put one at the end. And now when I pull that lever, only one actually works. And here's why. As we follow the redstone along, you'll see that it actually gets more and more faint until eventually it reaches this lamp. It also continues until here. It's kind of hard to see, I imagine, if you know, maybe a stream's not the best way of doing this, but this is the last time that it's actually active. You can see some puff coming out of it, some redstone dust coming out of it. But here, it's stopped. And that's because redstone has a certain distance that it's allowed to travel. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that is not, and we don't need to get too much into this because for lesson building this doesn't really often come up at all, but that doesn't mean it has a certain number of redstone blocks that it's allowed to traverse. So if you were to draw a maze, for example, with multiple spider pieces coming off of it, it would probably still work. In fact, we can maybe build a model of that. It just means if a single line has traveled for a set number of time, it will stop. And so you then think, but what if we wanted to pull a lever here that opened a door way over there for our children to get into a different part of the museum? What if it wasn't until they had triggered the social studies lesson and they had got to the end and pulled the lever that the flooding lesson over here was open, because it was a choose your own adventure lesson that we were building, or it was linked, or it wasn't until that they'd done the exam, and having done the in-game exam and assessment, that they pulled this lever to say they'd done it, that this door opened and they could go on next. And so what we need then is we need a thing, if we just put in redstone again, we need a thing called a redstone repeater. This just means it's kind of like a Wi-Fi booster. If you think about, you know, you've got your little Wi-Fi piece, and in some of these big sort of government buildings and so on, they will have a booster. And what they'll do is they'll plug that upstairs and it will take the signal and it will boost it to another large chunk of the building. So hotels quite often have them. So we're going to take those and we're going to pop it in there and just in one of the gaps. And this is important. What we're going to do is, you can put it any way along, but it's better to maximize what it does. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it, I'm just going to put it at where we have the break. So from here, I'm just going to take it and place it. And what you'll notice is the next light has automatically come on. And so, but you must watch what happens if I put it sideways. Nothing. If I put it backwards, nothing. You have to do it facing the way you want the redstone to travel. It's a continuation of the redstone, if you like. I'll tell you about these buttons in a second, because I'm going to show you a model of what our children did in Turkey with this. But you'll see that the next one's now lit up. So if I go back to the beginning and I pull this lever, you'll see that we now have two lights instead of one, courtesy of the redstone repeater. So now I'm going to go to the end and I'm going to add another redstone repeater, and I'm going to go to this one and another redstone repeater. And that means I have a live signal all the way along. And if I pull the button, there we are. Now, what if I wanted to create a delay? What if I wanted that to go 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4? So that's what these do. These create a delay. So we can go 1, 2, 3. That's the highest. 1, 2, 3. And all this does is, it just means the difference between this redstone torch and this redstone torch is a delay in the signal. So now let's go back and see what they do. So when we pull this lever, we should see off, 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 and on, 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 on. So there's a delay. And we can create those delays as we go through. We can even make the first one, the second one, and the third one slightly different. So let's look at what this does. It might be just slight, but off, do, 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 on, do, do, do. There we go. And so we end up with slightly different times. It could be actually, probably clearer if I make all of them. There we are. So the first ones should come on almost instantly with only a delay at the end. So there we go. All on, all off, off, all on, all off, off. And so we can play around with those signals. And that's actually quite handy, because let me show you what that looked like with a cell that we were. So let me get some red. I'm just going to give you an example. We did human biology. I always try to relate this to lessons that we've done as we go throughout. So we did human biology, and one of the things we wanted to talk to the kids about was making cells and what that looks like. What does a human cell look like, and what are the processes of those human cells? So I'm just going to... The kids made this. And they didn't have a lot of time. This was like a show me what you've learned. This was an assessment, if you like. And so they made that, and they said, this is the human cell, and this is the nucleus. I know there's more to it than that, but this is what they showed me because it was a basic model. And what they were actually trying to show me was how, I'm going to go back and get levers, how cells produce ribosomes, those proteins. Whoops, that's me being a bit of an idiot. Hang on. And so what they did was they built the basic platform. I'm just placing those for aesthetics. It doesn't matter which way the levers go. So they built the basic cell using red anything. They made the nucleus using any other block. They actually used a pink, I think. And then they placed levers on the corner of the cell. And then what they did was, so this was their inputs. Their processes were then a series of random looking redstone patterns that were all different. This one quite short. Oops. Here we go. So the cell looked a little something like that when it was finished. And that was, and at this point I'm thinking, I'm not sure what they're trying to show me. And then they got another output, and this output is called a dispenser. So I just put in disp and I get a dispenser. So I'm just going to put this in my outputs at the end. And the output, I'm just going to place that again. If you place a dispenser this way, the hole will be at the side facing you. And I don't want that, I want the hole at the top. So I'm just going to look down on each of these and place the hole at the very end. So take note, a dispenser is also an output. We're going to do a live stream on dispensers and droppers and how they can be used later, so keep an eye out for that live stream. And then they went and got animals, so we're just going to do spawn. So we're going to spawn a chicken, we're going to spawn a cow, a pig, and a sheep. Actually, yeah, let's make a sheep. And inside the dispenser they placed the pigs, any one of these, it didn't really matter, the cows, chickens, and sheep inside the dispenser. And then at random they just pulled the button. Oops, hang on. Aha! Now this goes back to my settings in the beginning. If I press escape, settings, and go down to show classroom settings and allow mobs, we will now be allowed mobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that button, and a pig and a sheep and a chicken, and actually we'll produce 4 of those chickens because our body needs lots of that protein. And then we're going to just do 2 cows. And what they did was they just randomly made these animals, which in fact are the proteins, see the link there, that our body produces through our cells using the ribosome structure. And so they were able to very quickly in Minecraft model what they had learned about cell structure and the production of proteins through human cells to me, a visitor to their school, and say, look what we learned. We learned this. And the teacher was observing and was quite happy with what they had learned. And so they just went around and randomly produced these, and the animals will wander off and do their thing. It's a nice little model. And so, again, teachers will quite often say to me, okay, this is, I can see redstone. You know, you've showed me this model over here, but what for? To what end? What does it do in my classroom? And so this is a great way of doing that. It's a great way of looking at that. So the other thing we can do with redstone are quite complex things like, let me just go back and get some stone, and we're going to make a very quick AND gate. So if we want to do physics teachers love redstone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to get a thing called redstone torches. Let me show you what a redstone torch does. So a redstone torch is a permanent source. You can stick a redstone torch either on top or on the side of a block. And it's a permanent source of power. So if we just do that, you'll see that it's already lit up. If I do the other side, it's not. But here's the thing. A redstone torch can be switched off. So if I get myself a lever again, and I put the lever on the other side of the wall, let's just get rid of this one. We're keeping an eye on this one, and you'll see that it's lighting up that redstone, which in turn is lighting up that lamp. If I now switch this lever, the lamp goes off. So now what we have is a different kind of gate. What is this? I can't remember what type of gate that is. Answers in the chat if you know what kind of chat, because basically what we've done is we've swapped the signal. So we've said when lever is on, lamp is off. When lever is off, lamp is on, simply by adding this in. There we go. Thank you very much, Thomas. It's an XOR. An XOR. There we go. I might not be the best. I've told you, redstone escapes me. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch mobs off because we don't need mobs distracting us while we're doing this either. So get into the habit of just getting rid of mobs if you don't need them. There we go. No more chickens and pigs and cows. So here's the thing. And I'm going to show you a big lesson that we use this in, a maths lesson that we use this in. So what happens if we have 3 levers and we want an AND gate? So what I'm going to do is I need to test this theory. Yeah, whoops. Okay, let me just show you what this looks like. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our redstone torch here. So what I'm doing is, and then I'm going to create the next set, which only has to be there. We're going to do the same. We're going to have this one, redstone joining those two, and then that redstone tells the torch to be switched off. I'll explain all this in a second, and then we're going to do the lamp. There we are. So what we're saying is, if we have 3 levers, nuclear codes, nuclear keys, and we know that there are 3 people in 3 separate locations that need to pull this at any one time, we are going to tell this lever that it must, at this point it's off, but when it switches on, this one goes off. And when we switch this one on, this one goes off. And when we switch this one on, this one goes off. But these are joined together. And as long as there's a signal running between these two, this is switched off. Because remember, a redstone torch creates the opposite when it's if it's on, it's off. If it's off, it's on. Which means this signal is now off. So what we need is these two to be activated in order for that to become, or these two, sorry, to be deactivated in order for that one to become activated, which in turn will create the same process. So let's try this. Let's switch this one off. Nothing. Our lamp is okay. Let's switch this one off. Our lamp is okay. Even if we were to switch that one off, our lamp is still off. But when we switch them all on, our lamp goes on. Because you see what's happened? The signals have died here, which have switched these on, which have given these on, which has killed the signal here, which has switched this on and given us our lamp. So we've created an AND gate. Only when this lever and this lever and this lever are switched on do we get a lamp at the end. So we can start to do quite amazing physics. Now let me show you a world where that actually became apparent. It was something that we absolutely needed, was a large AND gate. And I'm going to take you to Break-In Math Apocalypse. So we wanted the children to do a maths puzzle, and only on successful completion of the math puzzle would we have the results. And so let me just go in here and get out of it, zombies. So this is called Math Apocalypse because there is a zombie apocalypse that the children must solve. And actually I'm going to do, I don't really want to do kill entities. So to stop them getting in, I'm just going to block the door. And then I'm going to take a sword. There are fun times in Minecraft, you know. And I'm just going to get rid of these guys. Get out of it. I just don't want them distracting the lesson. I could switch them off, but it switches them off across the whole game, and actually this is a live lesson where the children are using it to solve a puzzle, so maths puzzles. So I don't want to kill all of the entities. Now, what I can then do is we're looking at a maths puzzle that we made that means every time the children pull a lever here, something happens. Well, either nothing happens or something very specific happens. So if I just randomly pull this lever, nothing here is going to happen. But if I pull this one, 1, 1, you'll see that the 1, 1 light came on. If I then pull 2, 3, you'll see that the 2, 3 light came on. And what we're hoping that children establish is a number pattern. So it's 2 across 1 up, then 1 across 2 up, which is 4, 4. So let's do 4, 4. I happen to know that because I designed it, but we want the children to find that as part of their investigation, their mathematical investigation, which means the next one is 2 along 1 up. So the next one should be 5, 6. So let's do 5, 6, 6. Oop. There we are. Now, all the time I'm pressing this door is closed and this door is closed. That's the point. The children can't get out of the room until they've completed all of the levers. Remember what I did in the last world? There were 3 levers in a row. This just happens to be a bunch of levers on a wall. And then we're going to do the next one. So that was 1 across and 2 up, which would be there. Yep. And then from there it would be 2 across 1 up. There we are. Again, the door is still closed and this door is still closed. And then if we pull the last one, which is 10, 10, you'll see there's a delay, and then this door opens and this door opens using pistons. I'm going to go back to our original world and show you how I did that. And the zombies came out of that room, and now the kids can continue on their journey. And to do that, we needed to create some really complex redstone. This is a nice challenge for your children. So if I head into this room and we add some lights, let me just put in some lanterns. That'll do. We'll just put in some sea lanterns. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to place those around. There we go. So you can see, I'll just place one here. You can see that we've created this really quite complex, or it looks complex. It's actually more complex than it looks more complex than it is. Because here's what we've done. At the back of so behind that block is one of the levers you would pull. And that instigates this redstone, which splits. Remember I showed you the split? So this splits. whoops, the lower part goes down underground and basically goes underneath the map and lights up the appropriate lamp. I showed you the lamp piece, all right? But it also splits. Where does it split? That one that I showed you was this one. So it splits to go this way and under there, but it also continues. And every single one of them, you'll notice, continues to an AND gate, where this row is eliminated down into this row. This row is eliminated down and down and down and down until we end up with a single thread. And it's that thread that opens the doors. It just goes to the end, it gets split and 2 doors open. And so in order for us to make this contraption, this whole maths puzzle work, we needed an AND gate. And I must admit, it was kids that gave me the answer. Kids were like, it's easy, you need this. And they went and showed me. So when you're thinking about your lesson design, specifically, think about some of the things that you'll need in terms of a contraption, a redstone contraption. So let me go back to my original world and show you what we did with the doors, because redstone can be used to create traps, and well, you've just seen an example of that there, but the door was a significant one. So here's the thing. If we take a very distinct type of piston, which is called a sticky piston. A sticky piston is a different kind of output from a normal piston. And in fact, to show this, I'll get both pistons and show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lever, then a gap, then a lever, and then I'm going to run 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sticky piston down, an ordinary piston, and a sticky. In fact, let's do that the other way, because when I'm this way, I'll be running back to front. There we are. Ordinary piston, sticky piston. And then on top of that, I'm going to put a white block and a white block. You can put any block you like. Okay. When I pull the ordinary piston, the block will go up. When I push the sticky piston, the block will go up. But when I pull the ordinary piston, the block remains, because that's how gravity works in Minecraft, although we're going to do a stream on gravity later and show you that that's not always true. But when we press this one, it goes with us. You see? And so if I was to put that sideways, with the block attached, ignore the little one that's just popped, that was my fault, we have the ability to pull blocks the way we want them to. So what if I was to build something that looked like this? Let's just put another sticky piston there, and then let's have going to get rid of all of this because we don't need this. So you'll see what I've done there is all I've done is I have the redstone going into this piston, and then I've made it turn around and go up a block. We haven't showed you going up blocks yet, but I'm going to do that next. And then I've had it going round the corner and into the top piston. So now with the touch of a button, we can close a door. And if we were to make that look a little bit more tunnel-like, we suddenly have a secret door. And that's how we did it. That AND gate led to a single thread, and that single thread did that. So suddenly the kids could get out. We actually had two. We had 4 pistons, 2 on each side, and they kind of closed the gate on each side, but that's a little bit more redstone than we need to know. And so there's another way of doing a nice door that says you can only get through here once you've finished this particular piece of exam or this particular piece of narrative, and then we can have them go through that. We have a question from Immersive Cat on Twitch that when you go up blocks and round corners, do the same rules apply about length? Yes, they do. The same rules apply. So you still have to, and that's actually quite interesting. It's a great question, Kat, because if you put a redstone repeater here, it won't work because the redstone will not run up and attach to it. It won't work if you do it that way either. So you have to be, what I would have to do if I needed a repeater, say this was at the end of a very, very long piece, what I would need to do is I would need to have a long, and kids will tell you there's different ways of doing this. I'm probably the old guy that's doing it totally wrong. But we would probably need to build a redstone repeater there now, because we've given it a chance to run up and to the redstone repeater and then have it go to there. So that's how we would do that. There we go. So it still works. We've just been able to elongate it. So that's kind of what we would have to be doing. So on that note, let's look at how redstone works uphill. So if I have a block, I'm just going to build out of white because it's easier on redstone. If I have a lamp, and I'm just going to do this in a number of different ways. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our lamp, put it on the end, and oops, and the end. There we are. So if I wanted to put a lever on each one of these and see what works, I can run my redstone straight to each one of them, and then I can press the button, pull the lever. That one works. We've already established that. That one works because it is transferred through one block high. That one doesn't, and that one doesn't. So we've already lost it. So then we think, how would we do that then? How would we get it to transfer? So I already gave you a hint earlier when I did this. Whoops. And what we could do is we could transfer it one up so it will climb. And we would have to do the same on this side. So we'd have to have one climb and then two climb. So we're creating a stair system, which can get messy. I mean, it works and it's great, but it can get messy depending on what you're trying to do. And so what we could do is we could use redstone torches, and redstone torches work a little something like this. I'm going to put the lever at the front. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have I think I need to do one more actually. I think the redstone torch has to be, the redstone lamp has to be above. Let me just double check. Sometimes I get mixed up when I'm doing this. But what we need is we need our redstone torches back. So redstone torch, not just redstone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick one there. And you'll see the next one goes out because it's up, and remember, this is transferred up as well as through. So when it goes up, it cancels itself out. We start again. There we go. So the lamp remains off. But if I run my redstone, of course, we've already proven, remember I showed you, redstone will transfer through and change the signal. So this becomes negative, therefore that becomes positive, negative, positive, transfer, lamp. So let's try that. Let's pull this. So it goes on and we end up with a lamp on. Let me just show you how that works from a distance. Here would be good. Let's just ignore that one. So let me just show you. I'll put the lever there instead and you'll see what happens. And actually what I'll do is I'll put in a purposeful delay so we can see what happens. So I'm just going to do that and then you'll see. See what happens to the redstone? Keep an eye on the redstone torches. You'll see they're changing their signal depending on the one beneath them. And so what we can do is, in short order, we can very quickly have our torch where we wanted it in the first place, but as high as we want it. So we can do that. So keep an eye on that. I know you're probably watching this. If you're a redstone beginner, you're probably watching this thinking, I need to go and try this, or he's moving too quickly for me, or wow, I've never done this before. And don't worry, that's common when we do live PD with teachers. Quite often it's like, look, we only had 2 hours to do this, and that revisit all of these videos on YouTube. and just pause this. I'll talk you through it. It's, you know, so that's youtube.com/c/immersive minds. Give us a subscribe, because we're going to be putting, what's that, twice a day, every day for at least 30 days. So there's going to be 60 Minecraft videos up there by the time we're finished, at least. And so that's how that works. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. And so, I'm trying to think what else we need to do with redstone. Does anybody have any questions at this stage about what we can do with redstone? Let me show you a block of redstone while I'm waiting on questions. Can I just ask to clarify, a negative redstone torch doesn't switch the redstone circuit off, it just flips the charge. Yes, so it's not the charge to a lamp. Let me just go back to here. The charge to a lamp is radiated either through, yeah, see, so that one there is radiating up to this block, and therefore this block is charged. This normally dormant and completely non-redstone block is charged because of this one underneath it, whereas the one above is not. So that's a nice way of showing that, actually. That one's charged, that one's not. And it's because the block underneath is not charged. If I pull the lever, we will see a change. These are both charged now because this block is charged by this one. So that's actually quite interesting. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. Dum, dum, dum. And actually, it's a really nice... what if you want to power something vertically? Oh yeah, so that was how we did it there. So vertically, sorry, knives. Yeah, sorry. Oh yes, Kathy's with us. So if you want to do something vertically, this is how you would do it. You would use redstone torches to go up a hill and change. And we can do that as tall as we wish. So let me just give you another few blocks in there. And I'm going to show you an example of where we've used this. We actually did this in Ireland many years ago to look at the Easter Rising and what happened to the soldiers in the Easter Rising when they rebelled and they locked themselves in the post office, and the British Army were coming to get them. And what they did was they sent Morse code, and we wanted the children to be able to do that inside Minecraft. So there we go. If I switch this off, check out what happens to the redstone torches. They swap. If we just watch that. Let me just swap that out. There we go. Plop, 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 plop. It's kind of hard to see, but you can watch this over and over again, and you see them changing all the way up. Let me just do that again. And so what we did was we created, and I'll do this with stone brick. In fact, I might as well take you to the world, because the world is, we have the world set up. And so the kids didn't really, we sort of spoke to them about Morse code and the idea that there would be relay stations and somebody else would get the message and then have to pass it on either in the same format or to their superiors using paper or vocal or something. So it was all about the idea of being able to listen to, understand and translate a sound message into language and then take that language beyond. And there was all sorts of complications with it. It's a very interesting piece of history, actually, the Easter Rising, and looked at, of course, differently from both sides. And so the Irish education system explored it, and they wanted me to help them do that through Minecraft. And so where is immersive? Sorry, I've got so many worlds that we teach in that it's hard to find. There's Pompeii. They definitely didn't do Morse code in Pompeii, although if they did, it might have saved them. I'm just saying. Immersive mathematics, warm ocean biomes. There we are, immersive education. And so one of the concepts, so we built the building, we built the streets, covered all of the geography of the town and the post office building that they were locked in, and so on. And then what we did was we had the children build a Morse code system. And here's how they did it, because we gave the kids a choice about how they did it, and they came up with lots and lots of different models. And so here's what they did. You'll notice, ignore the mess of this world, it's just a demo world. But you'll notice that on top of this are three torches. And then over here is another relay station with 3 torches. And over here is another one and another one. And what we need to do is we need to get a Morse code message. Let me just pull that up there. A Morse code message from this relay station to the relay station you can't really see in the distance, particularly if our graphics were switched down. And the children have to get that message via Morse code, then they have to pass it on. So we had students at each relay station for miles along the map. There was something like 10 relay stations. And then what they did was, if they pulled this lever, the lights went on, and if they pulled them off, the lights went off. And what they were able to do was they were able to go on, off, on, off, on. And they were able to do Morse code. And that would give us, it's kind of hard for me to do without, yeah, I'm not going to be able to see it. But then what would happen is, and I suppose what I could try, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm really quickly going to try and build an automated version of this. So bear with me. I'm just going to automate the code. It won't actually be Morse, but it will be an automated version of the code. So let me just, that's a detector rail. Let's just see if we can do this live. This will be really interesting to see if I remember what I'm supposed to do. Oops, that was wrong. There. Gonna need that. We're going to do Rails as another whole stream, and actually I'm going to rebuild this as part of that because it's a nice little exercise. But I've just got an idea of how I might do that. Oops, that was wrong. There. And then we only, yeah, that's right actually. So we only need a detector rail there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig these out. Now, here's the thing. Redstone also powers certain rails. So you'll notice that I'm digging underneath. Actually, I'm going to have to fix this because there's a hole in the ground. There we go, because I have to have those free for the redstone. There we go. Not that it matters about the corners, but I am going to need this layer free. And the reason for that is because if I go and get my redstone torches, I need to place one there, which powers this rail. You see how that rail's dark red and that rail's light red? Well, that's because they are powered from underneath, which means if I put a minecart on there, they get a boost. This is a detector rail, which means it detects when when something goes over it, and it sends a redstone signal. It pings a redstone signal out of the track. And so I'm just going to cover this over so that we can get ourselves a minecart. And so I'm then going to put the minecart on there and push it. There we go. And you'll see that the minecart is going round, and every time it touches, it sends a redstone signal, which means we should be getting, it's a consistent signal. It's not Morse code, but imagine we could automate Morse code using the delay system that I showed you on redstone repeaters to create a very specific message that played over and over and over again, apocalypse style. And so when these players are standing at the next, they can't see ahead, but they can look back at this one. And let me just go to time set night. Well, that redstone torch is on. Why is it on? Oh, there we go. It's too far. We would have to have them slightly closer because our animations stop at a certain distance. There they go. They stop at that distance. And so we'd have to have them closer. And I think we did actually. Or no, maybe in Java, because we did this in Java. I think Java, the distance was... But this is where our next one would be. Yeah. So the kids see it from here and they read it. So they go, oh, look, beep, 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 beep. And then they then go to the next one. And then they make the next station. Beep, 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 beep. And they do it, and they do it, and they do it. And it was really funny because by the time we were finished, the kids, we just gave them random messages. We gave them messages like, I need 6 bananas and some tea from the grocery store, please. And by the time we got it to the end, it was crazy. The message was nothing to do with bananas or tea. And it was really funny to see how that had been done. And the trouble with using Morse code to get messages to... Because here's the thing, the Morse code was going to America. The Irish were asking the Americans for assistance. So how do you get Morse code messages? Back then, I think it was 1916, how do you get Morse code messages across the Atlantic and have that message read and understood in time for some sort of political assistance? Beep, 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 beep. How cool is that? Let me just time set 1. We're just going to go back to daytime. So that's where they would have had to be. And then we had them shielded so the kids could only see the next one. Did that work for you, Kathy? Does that work? I know you have a question on Twitter about how can they see it at the next station. Hopefully I was able to answer that as we... Here's another redstone example. So wind farms. Wind farms don't generate electricity in Minecraft because we don't have wind and they don't move. So one of the exercises we did was getting children to think about how wind can be harnessed in Minecraft as a renewable energy. And this is what they came up with. So you'll see there that we have, at the moment, we have, ignore this AND gate. I'm going to come back to the AND gate in a second. But we have this minecart going back and forward. And as the minecart hits detector rails, it gives us a redstone boost. But there's gaps where the detector rails are not there, and so you'll see that it goes off, on, and it keeps doing that. And then what happens is, this runs with a series of repeaters to a house. So let's look inside this house and see what's going on. Let me just finish the windows. So we're going to peer inside this person's house, and they're getting brownouts. So every so often their house is going on. There we go. There we go. The lights are on. So let me just, again, time set night. So we can see that their lights are going on intermittently. So they're getting brownouts, and that's actually very... thanks for the... Good. I'm glad that works. And Chipster70, thank you so much for hosting. We're talking about redstone and its use in education systems. Now you'll see there that what I've done is I've just made what I showed you earlier. So I've had it run into the house, then I've had it run upstairs and go into the light system in the roof. That's all I've done, so I'm just going to fix the walls there. So this person is getting brownouts, which is not great. That's happening right now in South Africa. Lots and lots of power issues in South Africa, for example, which is tragic. And so that's not ideal. And that's because over here, if I just go time set 1, this is replicating the wind. According to my students, when it hits a detector rail, it's a gust of wind. And it's going to turn that, watch MCBC, thank you so much for the follow. That's going to imagine that every detector rail and power outburst represents a gust of wind. It's a windy day. And so then the kids were like, yeah, but that's not consistent. You'd need detector rails all the way along there. And that's not fair to assume that one wind farm is going to power all of those houses or even that whole city. So we built 5. And underneath each of those, we built the same process. So you see the redstone, and we built the same process. And then the idea, although in this model it's not finished, is that each of those will link to an AND gate. And then, so if this one is blowing, this one, this one, this one, and this one is blowing, and they're all blowing randomly, so we could swap, for example, on the next one, we could take the detector rail and we could put it there instead, and we could take the redstone, and that actually gives us more consistency, and we could maybe take, where is it? That one out. So there we go, so we swapped it round now. And if every single one of them, and we had big enough wind farms, so let's face it, in the North Sea we have thousands and thousands of these wind turbines as part of wind farms. If they're all blowing and they're all taking wind as it comes in its sort of the magical ways that it does, then we would eventually end up with a consistent power system, a strong enough and consistent enough power system to make all of those houses light up consistently. And so we were able to, just by using redstone as wind rather than redstone as electricity, whole, solid, proper, let's imagine our redstone is in fact a model for wind. And then that wind is then given to us using an AND gate. And so lots and lots of different ways we can do that. These are daylight sensors. So you'll see during the day, these daylight sensors are active. So I'm just going to put a lamp at the end of one of those. So these are solar panels. So as long as we have solar panels active during the day, but what happens if we go time set 15,000? What should happen, and it normally doesn't because it requires me to build the process again. Let me just see if this works. There we go. That's because I had to build them again. But this is nighttime. It's what happens when you convert the worlds from Java to Bedrock. You sometimes have to recreate the structures, the redstone structures that you made. So at nighttime, we're not generating any electricity because these are what are called daylight sensors. But if we go time set day, we suddenly are able to power things. So what if we spoke to our children about wind power? There's a cow now stuck in there, look. All right, wee guy, you having fun? He is having fun. We're just going to leave him there. But what we can do is we can, what if we did wind farms? What if we did solar panels? What if we did, this is an example of a light. And what I want to show you is I was going to show you the redstone block earlier. So let me see, where is it? Yeah, it's already there. So this is a piston. Why is that not letting me? There we are. So this is a redstone piston. Remember we showed you earlier, we showed you pistons and sticky pistons. Well, this is a sticky piston. And on the bottom of the sticky piston, you'll see that I've built a redstone block. This is just basically a giant block of power. It's like a battery. Imagine this is a battery. Hi, Dave Weaver. Thanks for joining. And what we're now going to do is we're going to switch this to nighttime sensors. So just by right clicking, you'll see that it goes blue or yellow, blue or brown. This is daylight. This is nighttime. So what we now have is we now have it set as a nighttime sensor. Again, I'm going to have to fix that. There we are. Why does it think if it's detecting nighttime it's on? That's weird. That doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Sorry. So it's a daytime sensor. So while it's on daytime, it's activated the piston and it's stretched the piston and it's taken the redstone away from the lights. If it's nighttime, it's off. So let me just go time set and then we're going to go, there we go. Oh yeah, sorry, it has to be daytime sensor. I kept doing that. I kept getting mixed up. That was me getting mixed up. And so what we've ended up with is, of course, because this is a daylight sensor, it goes off during the day, which means that it's brought up and it gives us lights for our streets. If we go time set daytime, he says, it doesn't work. Oh, it's because I blocked it. It's because I blocked it there. There we go. That's why I like the white ones there and there and there. That's it. So now watch what happens if I go time set night, the light comes on. If I go time set day, the light goes off. And so we can start to talk to our students about meaningful ways of saving energy. And I mean, this happens, I imagine it happens in most countries. I know it certainly does in the UK. Is at night our lights come on and in the daytime they don't. Hey, the guy, thanks for coming in. And watching. And so we have wind farms that work if we use redstone appropriately and rails, which I'm going to do a whole separate thing on. We also have daylight sensors. We have lights that we can use that only work using day and night light sensors to give us the right type of lights. What happens if we do something like, we've got hydropower. I'm going to do a whole stream about hydropower. So it's the same principle though. We use water and rainfall to make the hydro system work in Minecraft. So the city only gets power if the hydro systems work. But what if we did something like, remember that AND gate that I was showing you earlier? What about multi-story car parking? Not the most exciting subject in the world, but what if you wanted to automate this so that you knew that if a car came in, so let's just say that this car leaves, this yellow car leaves, a space becomes available, and another yellow car leaves, yes, space becomes available. But then another yellow car comes in, and he parks there, and so that becomes a space. What if all of those were automated to tell our people that it was full? So there we go. I'm just going to make sure these pistons are, yeah, the pistons are not working because of the conversion. So let me just make that work. How happens if I do that? It's not working. Let me just, oh, it's because it's broken. Look at that. Dun, dun, dun. Let me just, why does that third one not work? Aha! We have a redstone. So right, so this is probably a good example of showing you why redstone runs into one here. See it running into that piston? It's activated that piston. It's then transferred through and activated that piston, but it hasn't activated the third because we know that redstone only activates through. So I've had to run it along the side now and then fill that up. There we go. Oops. There we go. That'll do. Right, so let's check this out. So at the moment, you can drive into the car park. So right now, you can drive into the car park. There's a sign up above that says spaces, and you can drive in and you can take your car straight into the car park up here and you can find a parking space. But what if, and let's just imagine this isn't 3, this is hundreds, but let's imagine we have 100 car parking spaces and number 97 gets filled, number 98 gets filled, and number 99 gets filled. And what we end up with is, we end up with the gate closed and it says, sorry, 97, 98, 99, sorry, I can't even do that, 98, 99, 100. And then what we end up with is, we end up with the gate closed, car park full. And that's basic systems that we see today in all of our system, and that's actually not even technically an AND gate. This is the real AND gate that we showed you earlier, all 3 parking spaces, and then a little sign says, no spaces left. Park, 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 or leave, leave, leave. We have car parking spaces, everyone, come check us out. And so we can do that, there. Yes, parking decks with sense, you do. Right, well, build one in Minecraft, Kathy. Build one in Minecraft. I'm trying to think what else in this world we have redstone attached to. We have lots going on in this world that redstone is attached to, but I can't think of anything that is necessary for this redstone. Let's go back to basics. I tell you what, let's save and quit and we'll go back to basics. Let's just recap on what it is that we've been talking about. We've showed you the maths zombie apocalypse world. We've showed you with our redstone basics. Let's have mathpocalypse. I'm just going to have a look through my worlds and see if there's anything else that redstone really counts for. Oh yeah, I'm going to go into redstone basics and I'm going to show you how to make a volcano. So here's another thing. We made Pompeii, and I'm going to show you the Pompeii world afterwards. But for the moment, let's just make a volcano. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build a little flat surface. Let's make it slightly larger. And the reason for this is because I just want to build a little hill that will become essentially a redstone volcano. Whoops. There we go. We're just going to move that over. And then we'll just do the top bit as well. I need to make sure that I've actually got enough room for all the redstone that I'm going to need, but I think I will. Oh, look at that. Somehow I got my design wrong. Let's do that. And then in the middle there, I'm going to put some... Actually, before we put lava, let's just get our redstone correct. So then I'm going to put some sticky pistons. And I'm going to put them 2 blocks down, all facing up. And then I'm going to put a block inside. And just so you can see which ones I'm going to do, I'm going to put cobblestone on those ones. That's infested cobblestone. That's not good for us. Let's put that, and that. And so remembering where our redstone is, our redstone needs to be there, there. This is now looking at the pistons from the side, there, and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my redstone out here. Now, here's the thing about redstone is you have to protect redstone from the lava. So we'll work out how we do that in a second, because otherwise lava destroys redstone. And so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take my redstone, and we have to make it join up, right? So I'm just going to take it to the corner there, and I'm going to do this one. This is why a volcano tends to need to be much higher. And then let's just have this one going down there. So everything links to this corner here. So let's have in fact, there's no point in adding two more, let's just have a lever. Now what we need to test is what's happened. So again, going back to our redstone basic world, you'll see that this one's worked, because hey, that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But this one hasn't, because it's stopped right here. So we're going to get a repeater. And we're going to pop that there. That's worked now. We've got 3. And we're probably going to have to do the repeater in the same space. So that would be there. There we go. So our model from above looks like this. And that's given us our 4 lava runs. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that our lava is, our redstone is protected. There we go. And then we'll just, so all I'm going to do is just make sure that our redstone, whoops, all the way along is protected. That'll do. Oh, we can't. Oh yeah, we can. We can fill that out. So we're going to end up with a weird shaped hill, but that's okay. It kind of looks like that. That's my volcano. Nobody laugh, okay? Because I'm going to show you my actual volcano when we're done. And you'll be amazed. There we go. So I'm going to protect my little lever there as well. And then we're just going to protect this. The reason I'm protecting this again is just because it's going to destroy. It's going to get destroyed otherwise by the lava. Lava likes to destroy redstone, as does water, incidentally. So look out for that. Just put another one there. I think that's us. Uh-oh, look what's happened. We've somehow killed, there it is, the redstone. So we're going to have to be real careful about that. Redstone gets, oh, that's another thing I haven't showed you. There's an important thing to show you. Let's just do that. There we are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pour our lava inside the top. And this is a super tiny model. Wait till I show you the finished piece. And then we're going to head to our lever, which was, where did I hide it? There. Now, when I pull this lever, it's already active. I've switched it on, which means the pistons are up, which means they're holding the cobblestone up there. But I used sticky pistons, bearing in mind, I used sticky pistons so that when I pulled it and the levers, and the pistons are disengaged, they will pull the cobblestone down, revealing the lava. So let's check this out. There we go. And all of a sudden, we have a volcano erupting. It hasn't really gone that far. I probably need to just, oh, that'll relieve. Oh, there we go. I could get rid of those, which would help. Yeah, that'll do, and that'll do. There we go. And suddenly we end up with a flowing volcano. And what we could do is we could go back to our lever before it gets too dangerous, and we can, whoops, that's the last thing you want to do. Wow, look at that, my redstone's been utterly destroyed. What a dork. Right, here we go. I don't even know if this is going to work anymore. There we go. So yeah, it did. Okay, so that's me fixed it, and you'll notice now that the lava is going to dissipate, and we're going to end up contained back in our crazy looking odd shaped volcano. There we go. We'll do that one more time. We're just going to pull the lever, and the lava is going to pour out. Not on that side for some reason. Minecraft can be so icky sometimes. That's okay. And then we're going to close the volcano off. So let me show you what an actual large-scale model of a volcano looks like in that respect. So we built Pompeii in our Pompeii toy box. Where is it? There we are. Welcome to Pompeii, everyone. And what we did was we built the entire volcano with the ash and the explosion inside a giant toy box. So if I just step back out so you can see what that looks like in relation to the build. There we are. And so it's just in a giant box, the city of Pompeii, the buildings, the religious centres, the bathhouses, nicely decorated with some memorabilia. Round the back, you can see what the volcano actually looks like. So this is how a volcano forms and is kind of squashed up through the rocks until eventually it erupts due to the pressure. And round the other side, up here, I believe, I need to now check if the redstone's in there. This model doesn't have the redstone in it. Apologies, everyone. But what we would do, and we do have a model of this where the redstone itself, yeah, that's where it normally goes. It normally goes in that gap. We normally have the redstone in that gap. And so you would pull a lever and, yeah, I am lagging, I know. And so what would normally happen is that we would pull a lever and that whole thing would erupt and it would head down and it would burn the city. Unfortunately, this is not the model for it. I think I switched it off because I didn't want the kids doing it, because they burn the city constantly when they're not actually at that stage of the lesson yet. So we add that bit afterwards. We add that bit later. We tried hiding the lever, if anybody wants to suggest that. We have tried. And so the only other thing I want to show you is, I'm just going to do this. In fact, I might as well just stay in this world to show you rather than our Redstone Basics world, is what happens when you... See you tomorrow, Kathy. Thank you so much for coming along and joining. Is if I place... Let me see. Let's get some redstone. And then let's just get some white blocks. White's always nice against the redstone to show. So if I build a redstone track here, and then I have my piece of redstone running to a lamp. Let's get ourselves a lamp. And then we'll get ourselves, remember we need an input. And then when we press the lever, the lamp comes on. But here's the thing. I can cover that over, but if I slice it, look what happens. The power goes to there, but then it's sliced by that block. It's cut right there. Just going to get rid of this grass to make that clearer. If I get rid of that, it continues. Block, block. So you have to be very careful when you're hiding redstone that you don't cut it off on one of those corners. You can't place on top of it. If you try placing directly on top of it, it will go one above, because remember, Minecraft treats everything like it's a block. So it treats carpet like it's a block. It treats slabs like they're a block. it treats, what else would you, tripwire. No, yeah, so we would need tripwire. So there's another thing we can do. I'll show you that in a second. I'll get myself some string for that. But string and tripwires. So it treats all of that as a block. So that, even though it's flat, if I try to place on top of it now, it will place above because it knows there's something there and it treats it like an entire block because you're still dealing with blocks. It treats redstone like it's a block and it treats slabs like they're a block. So look at those compared to a standard block. But if I try to place on top of carpet, on top of redstone and on top of slabs, I end up building on top of the whole block. So keep that in mind when you're hiding redstone. These things are quite tricky sometimes to navigate. And then finally, tripwires. So if I take another one of these blocks and place it there, a tripwire is another input. So what I can do is, I'm actually just going to build one there instead. Getting rid of this grass, it's just in my way. There we go. And what I can do is I can put a tripwire there and a tripwire there, and then I can run string. And you'll see that the string is just slight, but if I now have a lamp here and a lamp here, if I walk through the tripwire, it lights up. So there's another one of our inputs, and that could be TNT, or so it could literally be a tripwire, for example. And where we've used that, let me just fix this and I'll go and show you another world. I want to just fix this because this is an active learning world that we use. So I really shouldn't be using them to demo, but hey, what's the worst that can happen, right? And so let me just save and exit. If I go in and do, where's our World War One? World War One, World War One. Now I have the TNT switched off for the moment, but we do have our World War One lesson, and we do have tripwires in there. So you'll see that if we head down to this this trench, you'll see that when we get to the bottom of the stairs there's a tripwire. It's hit, the panel is hidden in there, but there's a tripwire. And when you walk over that tripwire, I have it switched off at the moment, but what would normally happen, I think it's because it's switched off by, oh no, allow destructive items off. I think I just have the command blocks blocked off. But if you go over the tripwire, TNT falls from the sky like artillery. And so the soldiers, there's another one. So you'll see there, if I do that, you'll see where it is. And so what I've got is I've got it so that if you run through, you hit a variety of different things, and then TNT falls from the sky and you have to survive an artillery barrage in World War One. And it's just a lot of fun. It doesn't actually get you. There's too much of a delay on it. So as you can see from the maths one that I showed you with the gates opening and the AND gates and things so that the kids could solve the grid referencing puzzle, the artillery in World War One, all the stuff that we've showed you today, redstone is integral to the experience that players have when they're, and it's what they expect as well. Somewhere in this world there will be something with redstone that does something. It will open a door, it will trap a zombie, or it will make a wall collapse, or it will throw TNT at me. It's what they expect. So when you're thinking, I'm talking to the parents and the teachers out there thinking, how do I design a world that makes this happen? Redstone could be the answer. Check out this video on YouTube, youtube.com/c/immersive minds for the whole library. We're taking you from the very basics of what is Minecraft right through to the most complex stuff that we've done in classrooms all over the world. We work in 62 countries. Actually, I think it's up now, although Corona might kill some of that adventure. But we work in 62 countries to date, and we use Minecraft in all of those countries, in classrooms, museums, art galleries, businesses, you name it, to create experiences that teach. And so keep an eye on our videos. There's going to be we're doing this twice a day, every day for the next month. Thank you very much for listening. I will sign off now. Please give us a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/immersive minds, mixer.com/immersive minds, depending on your favourite platform, or just check us out on YouTube and give us a subscribe. youtube.com/c/immersive minds. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.